If all I know of harvest is that it's worth my patience, then if you're not done working, God, I'm not done waiting. 'Cause you can see my promise, even in the winter. 'Cause you're the God of greatness, even in a manger. For all I know of seasons is that you take your time. You could have saved us in a second. Instead you said, child. From Bethlehem soil grew Calvary's sequoia. Oh. Like the frost on a rose, winter comes for us all. Oh, how nature acquaints us with the nature of patience. And like a seed in the snow, I've been buried to grow. For your promise is loyal, from seed to sequoia. I know, though the winter is long, even richer the harvest it brings. And though my waiting prolongs, even greater your promise for me, like a seed. I believe that my season will come. Lord, I think of your love, like the low winter sun. And as I gaze, I am blinded in the light of your brightness, like a fire to the snow. I renew to your warmth, melt the ice of this wild soul, till the barren is beautiful. And I know, come on, though the winter is long, even richer the harvest it brings. And though my waiting prolongs, even greater your promise for me, like the sea. I believe that my season will come. God, you're not done. I can see the promise, I can see the future. You're the God of seasons, and I'm just in the winter. If all I know of harvest is that it's worth my patience, then if you're not done working, God, I'm not done waiting. 'Cause you can see my promise, even in the winter. 'Cause you're the God of greatness, even in a manger. For all I know of seasons is that you take your time. You could have Calvary Sequoia. Oh, like the frost on a rose, winter comes for us all. Oh, how nature acquaints us with the nature of patience. And like a seed in the snow, I've been buried to grow. For your promise is loyal, from seed to sequoia. Yeah, I know, though the winter is long, even richer the harvest it brings. And though my waiting prolongs, even greater your promise for me, like a seed. I believe that my season will come. Lord, I think of your love, like the low winter sun. And as I gaze, I am blinded in the light of your brightness, like a fire to the snow. I renew to your warmth, melt the ice of this wild soul.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the collective conversation powered by the collective effort. So we started a couple of weeks ago, and we hope to be able to carry everybody along on this journey. Like we have shared many weeks as we started, it is a transgenerational journey. So it's important that we don't tire out. There's the proverb that says that if you want to go far, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with a lot of people, or go with others. And so we've envisaged that this is a very long ride. It's a ride that requires the collective to go together. Over the years, we've had several attempts, and we're still having, those attempts of fixing our heritage, our nation, our country. And those efforts will yield fruits very soon. We have decided to contribute our own quota by speaking to the social transformation side of things. We believe that there are enough political and economic analysts out there, and a lot of young stars chasing after technologies, and legal luminaries building legal institutions. And even within the social space, there are a lot of civil society whose work revolves around social impact. And we have decided to join team to push for social transformation. And we would do this through two thematic or two verticals, which is advocacy and knowledge sharing, knowledge testing, and strongly on the other path is social interventions. We know that people will offer their hearts when they see that we care. So we are going to go into communities, we are going to build systems, we are going to build structure. But before we go that way, we want to make sure that we are paying adequate attention to the programming that is running in people's minds. We realize that over the years, people have done a lot of social work, social impact work, social intervention, but very little people pay attention to the programming and the conditioning that runs in the average minds of the citizens of Nigeria. And that's exactly where we want to pitch our tents. That's why we come now on a weekly basis to share knowledge, to open up the minds of people so that they can test the knowledge that they have, so that they can unlearn what they have probably learned, they can relearn it so that they can make good use of it. All right, so we've talked around certain issues in the last couple of weeks. We've talked around building our value system, rebuilding the collective value system. We've talked about the social transformations. We touched the values and what they are, and as ideals and fundamentals that guide individuals in choosing between right and wrong, in deciding what is right at a particular time, right? We've moved from that point on and touched the Nigerian brand, the practical ways of rebuilding the Nigerian brand. Last week, we touched mainly around geopolitics, talking about the fact that, nobody's going to come and save us, dissuading the minds or reorientating minds out of this Messiah concept, which we typically know that people are used to. We've talked around that. And today we are also going to continue in that direction of opening up more channels to evaluate the values that make up the Nigerian mindset. What is the value system that we embrace? Because if you don't investigate those channels, we are not going to be able to build proper visions that will sustain our dreams. So we want to unpack more around practical ways of building the Nigerian brand, right? So I'm sure that, over the years and even now, if you ask different people of what the Nigerian brand means to them, you will hear different versions of story. Some people believe that we are the hustle people. We are the hustle Africans. Some say that we are the real Africans. We are the ones that have a very, hard-working spirit. Some people would, different versions of the brand Nigeria that we have, right? But one thing that we have been able to also establish is that this brand that we have does not fully represent what we want. So we go around the world and we see that from every quarter, sometimes we are misrepresented, right? And so we start to ask ourselves, who's responsible to plan the Nigerian brand? Who's responsible to plan the Nigerian dream? Is it the citizens or the political class? What are the things that we want for the Nigerian dream? So those are the things that we want to look into, right? Some believe that we are go-getters. Some believe that we don't seek permissions. When you see a Nigerian in any room, they are the boldest, right? And that's a brand. Some believe that we are dubious people. Some believe that we are cheaters and we are liars and we are the scammers headquarters of the world. So depending on what quarters you are speaking to, there are different brand perceptions that we have, right? The truth is that, the truth to be established here is that everybody and every nation has a brand. No matter how you categorize it, you have a brand. And your brand is going to be established in the minds of people, whether you consciously build it or you do not consciously build it. So at every point in time, you are sending out information to the minds of people to examine you or to categorize you or to perceive you in a particular way, right? So if we know that we are not satisfied with where we are, we should really ask ourselves, what form of information did we send out that came about people forming these types of perceptions about us? I want to believe that largely people have questions. I have a few questions that I've written down, and I'm going to ask you to ask yourself, ask people around you. Do you like how you see yourself as a nation, as a country? I'm sure that most people would tell us that, they are not proud of the Nigerian flag. They are not proud of the Nigerian passport. We hear that every other day. People are not, citizens complaining about the country. So if you do not like how you see yourself and how you see your country, do you like how you are treated by other nations? Do you like how we are perceived by other nations of the world? If we do not like how we are perceived by other nations of the world, who is supposed to do something about it? Is it the responsibility of the citizens to do something about it, or is it the responsibility of the leaders to do something about it, right? So, it's as simple as that. Are we ready for the Nigeria of our dreams? If we are not satisfied with where we are we sure we know where we are going? If we arrive at the point where we are going, do we know, can we recognize it and say, okay, yeah, this is the Nigeria of our dreams? And I think that is where it starts. Are we ready for the Nigeria of our dreams? I typically say that Nigerians are not ready for the Nigeria that they want. We must investigate to know exactly where it is that we are going. If we cannot ascertain that this is the destination that we are going, it's going to be difficult for us to figure out how to get there. And that's very critical. It's very critical for us to be able to say, this is exactly where we are going. And if you look at the question that is being asked, are we ready for the Nigeria of our dreams? That in itself is a two-part question. The first part of the question talks about the readiness of us getting into that space. The second part of the question talks about the Nigeria of our dreams. What does it mean to be ready? Are we ready for the Nigeria of our dreams? What does it mean to be ready? And around that, I think I have something around the 4 P's of being ready. And that's the planning, for you to say that you're ready for something, it means you've planned for it. For you to say that you're ready for something, it means that you have made provisions for it. You have also positioned yourself for it, and then you have people who are going to support you in that. The planning is the desire, to do that thing. The positioning is the activity. The provision is making resources available, and then the people component of it. So are we ready for the Nigeria of our dreams? That's a very critical question, because until the critical mass are able to visualize the same goal, at least majority of us, knowing that this is the trajectory in which we are moving, then we will not be able to actualize that dream, because it starts with that. Every point of destination starts with a dream. Are we ready for the Nigerian dream? So the first part is our readiness. The second part is the Nigerian dream. What is the Nigerian dream? right? What are we talking about? What is the Nigerian dream? How are we positioning ourselves for the Nigerian dream? What's the Nigerian brand? Who is responsible to plan the Nigerian dream? Is it the citizens or the leaders? Is it the political class? You know, what type of provisions are we supposed to make ready? What's the desired destination? Can it be achieved in a short time frame? I think that one of the things that we have adequately been inefficient in is to create a false sense of hope that things are going to be okay in such a very short period of time. One of the things that you cannot circumvent in life is process. If it takes you 9 months to give birth to a child, a healthy child, if you try to do it in 4 months, you will have a dead child or a premature baby. I'm not even sure you can have a premature baby in 4 months. And now, can a nation be born in 1 day? Yes, it's possible. But it starts with the visualization of exactly where we're going. So can we do this in a short period of time? There are a lot of follow-up questions that come with either the readiness or the Nigerian dream. But if we try to start talking about the readiness of, where we want to get to without actually unpacking what it means to have a Nigerian dream, what's the commonality between all of us? What are we all striving for? If we start talking about planning right now, resources, making resources available, the architecture of how to do all of that, it will seem as if we're putting the cart before the horse. The first thing that we need to do is to think about or discuss, test our knowledge, share knowledge around what is the dream that we have right now. Right? Okay, so let's focus a bit on that dream. I mean, in the next 35 years, Nigeria will celebrate its 100 years independence. If I ask everybody in the room or somewhere, people around you, to describe to us what Nigeria should look like in 35 years, I'm sure that we will start to say different kind of things. Some people will say A, B, C, D. Some people will say X, Y, Z. Is there an homogeneous aspiration that we are all striving for? Let's backtrack a bit. For us to even be able to say that we want to get to a point, we must be able to define where we are today. If we ask ourselves to define Nigeria today, what's the Nigerian brand today? Is it I better pass my neighbor? Is it the hustling culture that we have? Is it the fintechs that we have? Is it our success stories? Is it our not so good stories? Some people have even labeled Nigeria a failed state. To those kind of people, I have a word for you. Like Winston Churchill said, he says that success is going from failure to failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. If you think that we are just going to appear in a future that we did not work for, it is not going to happen. Over the years, we have seen that Nigerians have not paid adequate attention to nation building. We think that we're just going to wake up one day and we are going to be in a community that we so desire that somebody else built for us. These are fallacies that we must test, and that is why we are holding the collective conversations. It's conversationary in nature, and so we will get to have the opportunity to ask questions, and we will have the opportunity to share and discuss around what we can contribute. This is no longer about staying in our rooms or behind our gadgets and then complaining. We are giving ourselves the opportunity to contribute to knowledge that is shared, to test knowledge, to design social intervention projects, to design social impact projects, to design systems, to build institutions. And so by doing all of that, we believe that we would have created an architecture that will start to contribute to the Nigeria of our dreams. So from our current evaluation, we can see that clearly the current brand of the country is not very palatable. And remember, a brand is not what the owner of the brand says it is. A brand is what your audience define you to be, right? It is not you that would say that, oh, my brand is a brand of integrity. No, people are your audience are going to look at certain activities that come from you. Let me backtrack. Your audience are going to associate the values that you project, and from that value that you project, they would attribute your brand to you. Remember, your brand is the feeling that you evoke when your name is mentioned, when you are being thought about. A world leader was going to describe our country, a few days ago, even though it's a controversial topic. He used a particular verb in front of it, disgraced country. And unfortunately, as much as I strongly disagree with him. In fact, I will not use my platform to amplify such nomenclatures or such appellation. But that kind of branding evolved from the values that we have embodied, right? So your values are still coming back to play. The essence or the power of your brand is derived from the vision that propels the owner of the brand and the values that guide the attributes or the behavior. Your brand is not what you say it is. Your brand is what people say it is. But you get to it, you control the vision that they see, you control the value that they see. I'm going to use this example, the example of, I'm sure when we all went to school, we had that one person that was always very neat, very, or maybe that person that was very efficient. These guys are not. So when you think about maybe your university or your college school, your high school, you know that there are a few people. When you look at the general population of the school, there are three brackets of people. There are the few exceptions, there are the general masses, and then there are the last set of people who you know that these ones is either they are the most notorious people, or they are the ones that are always very dirty, or they are the one. So there are three categories of people: the really bright ones, very neat, or you might be bright and not neat, but the very bright ones, the very efficient ones. If they are looking for anybody to do any remarkable things, it goes to them. Then you have the general people, don't let me say the nobodies, right? They are not nobodies, but they are average guys, And then you have those other guys. Now, what is distinct about them is that everybody has a distinct brand. Those guys that that even at 4 p.m., their shirt is white, they are tucked in, they have their shoes on, and they have their socks on. That's a brand. They are sending out certain value system that I will always be neat. You can always count on me to represent my school with proper school uniform. I will always have my beret on. They are sending out a certain value system. Now that value system over a period of time becomes their brand. So also the guys that don't have their back, I went to a boarding school. There was this guy that, it was so bad that one day they had this bat for him in the assembly ground. And I kid you not, they used Omo to have, when you wake up in the morning, it's a hostel, so everybody had their bath. This guy will not have his bath, he will not do anything, he will wear the same uniform for 3 weeks, and I'm not joking. You will see him, he will look like, and there was this day, I think our principal had it to this point, and he said they should, have his bat for him right there, hoping that, when he goes to that level of disgrace and humiliation, he will sit up and all of that. And I think after that time, I think he did sit up, and all of that. But I said all of that to say that there are two critical components that gives your brand essence. And it's the ability to have a destination at the back of your mind that, oh, this is how I want to be perceived. So first of all, don't forget, you don't get to tell people how to perceive you. You don't get to tell them how they should feel when they think about you. That's your brand. But you get to plan it. You get to have a vision for it. And then through your value system, you start to work towards it. So now let's bring it on. For Nigeria, if we want to improve the way we are seen across the world, if we want to improve our social interactions within ourselves, aren't we supposed to have a vision to guide it? Once we have a vision to guide it, aren't we supposed to change our value system, our integrity level, our sense of morality between right and wrong? Remember when we talked about value system, there are three types of value. There are the personal values, there are the social and moral values, and then the cultural values in the middle. So the sense of society's right and wrong. And then we said it is not one person's individual, it's not the individual's value that changes the society. It is the societal value that changes the individual. Now, this is what I mean. One man might have integrity, but if the general sense, the social norms of right and wrong, the general morality in the society says that anything goes. There's a way we have this level of anyhowness in our midst. That is our social norm. When you go on the street without anybody saying anything to any other person, you will just see that majority of the people have this level of anyhowness. They do things anyhow. There is no integrity. There is no work ethic. It's not that there are no people there that have work ethics. I'm sure that I've worked with people that have remarkable work ethic, but their own personal or individual values cannot be the definition of the general value system until we have a multiplier effect where majority of the people have adopted, or the society through strong institutions and systems have adopted social norms that are progressive enough, collective enough, inclusive enough. We would have pockets and individuals of people with strong individual values and very weak cultural and social values. So we must drive that point where we have a unified vision, right? So that is the point where we start designing our brand. Where you get to the airport and you are treated with respect because what made the news a day before was something that showed you have value for human life. What made the news a day before is something that showed that you have work ethic and you can think and you are innovative and you are ingenious and that is the collective values, right? So we've tried to explain the power of vision in this space because even the Bible says that when there is no vision, the people cast a restraint. The vision that you have is what will cause you to self-regulate. If an athlete who's going to run for an Olympic and is going for a gold medal has to go for the Olympic and wants to win a gold medal, now the desire to win that gold medal is the vision, is day-to-day routine, which can now be connoted as a value system, will force him to self-regulate his lifestyle. There are some things that he will not eat. There's a particular amount of hours that he would dedicate to exercise, and that is what will compel him. So if we, the custodians of the brand called Nigeria, cannot ascertain that this is the vision that is propelling us. Or even if we look at our value system and we know that this value system, this level of anyhowness, you give someone something to do, maybe an artisan something to do, and you can see that they have tried to do it with very minimal efforts. How do you think that if that is the prevalent culture, how do you now think that that is going to end up being what we represent? That cannot be, right? So how do we create this vision, and what exactly is a vision? To simply put, a vision is the ability to see, in simple terms. In a more elaborate definition, a vision is a mental image or an idea of a future state, a concept that can be imaginative or practical. Now, so if we are not getting to a point where we are creating the vision, or we are creating the future that we want in our minds first, we are not going to walk in the reality of it. I see a lot of us complaining on a day-to-day basis, but when you investigate, now don't forget, where did we start from? Are we ready for the Nigeria of our dreams? And from the Nigeria of our dreams, we started to dovetail into our value system and how our vision, affects our brand. And if you don't tackle that, how are we now going to be able to move? So we move from that to say that, okay, what's the vision? What are we going to say is propelling us? How do we create these things from our mind? If you don't create a vision from your mind, how are you going to work in it? Everything that you see today was created twice. It first existed in someone's mind before it physically had form. So if you do not create things in your head, if you do not imagine ideas, if you do not bring things to bear, it will be difficult for you to walk in the fullness of them. If you say that the vision for Nigeria, for example, is to increase the Human Development Index, that's there are three components that come together based on the Human Development Index definition. That's the ability to gain knowledge, long life and health, and increased standard of living. And by many definitions, these are the things that we are clamoring for as a people. Even if that alone is what we achieve as a vision, it is compelling enough. So how do we create that vision? It starts by imagining it, being able to see it, and then designing a system of how we can work in that space, right? We must create a vision mentally before we can start to design how to get there. I think I was making a reference to this building yesterday, the last time we spoke last week, that this building is not the form of it alone. It existed somewhere in dimensions first, in paper, in lines, in meters, in centimeters, and that is what you create first. And until we get to a place where we collectively, create that, we cannot say that, we are ready to walk in the Nigeria of our dreams. Now, all of this is for us to just ask ourselves questions. What are we ready for? Are we just going to play on the side of the rings and say, oh, we're just going to wake up one day and we're just going to walk in this future that we so desire? Or we're just going to wake up one day and we're going to be a developed nation? What are the roles that we have to play? What are the knowledge that we have to test? What are the things that we have to unlearn? We cannot, at the level of the average citizen, continue to do business as usual. What are the responsibilities of a follower? What are the responsibilities of a citizen? Visions and values are so important. There's this example I like to use about being a follower, and I think that there are a lot. I know you can never see. There's very, I don't know. I've tried to look for a school that or a curriculum that teaches you about how to be a follower. There's so many curriculums about how to be a good leader, how to be a great leader, but followership is so important. The social media is built on the architecture of followership. When you click that followership button, you are telling the world, or you are telling yourself, that I align to the vision of this person and the values that this person is portraying. When I click that button to say, I'm following you, and on this whole architecture of followership, which, dovetails very closely into the power of visioning, because for you to command that coordination between being able to see something, being able to create a vision, being able to, gather the people components to follow you into that space. And I think that largely that's the gap that has been missing even at the level of leadership. Even when there's an overarching vision, there has not been that ability to galvanize followership into that vision space so that people can embrace it enough. So what you now have is you have a case of a lot of people criticizing or speaking because they do not know what the vision is. It's not properly communicated, it's not properly drilled, right? And that's things that this kind of platform seeks to do. Educate and reorientate the average citizen to know that we have a pivotal role to play in how things eventually play out. Somebody is not just going to wake up and call you a disgraced country if you have not contributed to that narrative. It is not only the leaders who are responsible. I go on all platforms these days and you can see the anger, the hatred, the misinformation, the jest, the levity in which we handle these things, and we think that it's going to just happen. It's not going to happen. It is conditioning. The movies that we watch that makes some people look like superpower, those narratives were scientifically spun to create that mind shift that this is how you should perceive us. Remember, I said that this brand is a perception that comes out of what you embody. Nobody told us to respect certain countries. They just put together some information in a movie and they sold that movie. They didn't say, oh, look at me as a world power. They just packaged certain informations. Sometimes those informations are doctored, but they know that this is how the human mind works. If we can show ourselves in this particular manner, we will be able to influence how you see things, right? So the other part of my conversation starts to dovetail into followership, the work that we need to do, and how that creates a repetitive cycle in our minds, because when things start to repeat themselves, it comes into our subconscious, and there's the social theory that I've used to explain, and that's the theory of the broken window. I think I will get into that, how a small disorder can create multiple levels of disorder, in the society. It's called the broken window syndrome or the broken glass syndrome. And there's an experiment around that. But before we go that way, I mean, there are people in the room, and like I said, it's a conversation. This is a platform that we believe should replicate itself in many localities. Just like you have cell system, we believe that the collective conversation will begin to evolve into a cell system of conversations where we share knowledge and test knowledge. If we don't share knowledge, we can't test knowledge. We can't design what is peculiar to our environment. So a lot of times you see people complaining It's just like a football match. It's one of the, I don't want to call it lectures, that one of the topics that articles, I think I've even written an article about it on LinkedIn, on rigged choices. If your choices, a lot of time we complain about elections that are rigged, but if the choices were already rigged, the outcome is rigged, no matter how you vote. If the choices of A and B that are on ground was not the best of the law, the options were already rigged, and I think that a lot of times we play in that space. You see a lot of us complaining, oh, why didn't you? And in my analysis, I used a football match. I said there are 3 categories of people. There are those that are the fans. They are always mainly, always complaining. You not play that ball like that. You not do this, not do that. There are the 22 people who are playing. Those are the revealed. Those are the players. Those are the politicians. But there's the 1% that own the club. They own the club. They own the stadium. They can rig your choices. They are the ones that rig the choices. So if you want them to play Ronaldo, they don't play Ronaldo, and they play the other. The choice is rigged already, because no matter what you, the masses, think is the preferred outcome that you want, if the choices are rigged from day one, the outcome is rigged, right? So I want to open up the conversation. I want us to be able to start experiencing the collective conversations the way it's supposed to be. How do we participate? First of all, how do we bring ourselves home to say that, okay, wait a minute, this is Nigeria. We need to get ourselves from point A to point B. And the first question that I started this conversation with is, are we ready for the Nigeria of our dreams? Are we ready for the Nigeria of our dreams? The floor is open. I'm sure we can all contribute to the conversation. And we have our questions. We can speak from any of the directions that we have. We've been talking about the value system that is prevalent. Before we move into even trying to fix it, we must try to first of all unpack it. What is responsible for the level of the anyhowness we experience today in our world? How can we get out of it? What are the things that you see on a daily basis that just stand out to you and you're like, no, this is not right. We can do something about this. So my first question to everybody, and I'm not going to call anybody that feels like, oh, there's something I really wanted to share with the world. Are we ready for the Nigeria that we, Nigeria of our dreams? Do we even have that Nigeria of our dreams somewhere? Can we access it? Can we define it? If we get there, do we know that we've gotten there? Or do we just want more money? Do we want more cars? No. How can we, are we ready for the Nigerian dream? That's where I really want us to start from.
Okay. So if you're right, I'd say
We're not ready.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
It's a case of we have an idea of what it should look like,
Okay.
but it's not based somewhere. You are very speaking in the definition about the Bible says, write the vision down and
Make it plain.
Yeah, but if I was having a conversation with someone, he said he wants his company to be like the top 5 in the world, and I asked him, what is the metrics for you to know that you are among the top 5? And he couldn't articulate it. So everyone has an idea of this is what I want Nigeria to be.
Yeah.
This is what I want the nation to be. But it's not written anywhere. And because it's not written, everybody now have like different ideas, different ideology, which is not centralized. So say, okay, this is what we are working towards.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, we just desire it, we dream about it, but we are not ready, honestly.
Okay. But I mean, I hear you, but are we saying that most developed nations have it written down somewhere? Most people that got into this, did the Hollywood have a meeting and say, you know what, we're going to project? Was it a government motivated intervention And were we able to design a system where we are ready? When you say we are not ready, who exactly is not ready? Is it the people that are not ready, or the political class that are not ready? Because you now begin to see a disparity between, oh, it is the responsibility of the political class to create a vision and to create an enabling environment and to create where businesses can thrive. And then the people too, where's the people component? You know, who's not ready? Is it the people that are not ready or the leaders that are not ready? And how do we, you know, bridge that gap?
I think the politicians still honestly, because
I think you need to say that again. You know, we need to say that.
The people are still the politicians. I didn't believe, because you have your councillors, you have your local chairman, you have your House of Representatives, you have a governor, you have a senator, you have a president. They all came from the grassroots.
They all came from the people.
Yeah. And I'd always say that it's the value that you uphold from the house that you take to the office. Because you can't, it's difficult for you to change it. It's culture, it's part of you already. So it's, if you're someone that is not accounting from home, that I don't know what kind of magic from you that can't bring you to the office.
No. But I think that based on the research that I've read and how things are being questioned, if I am not accountable to myself at home, but the social cultural value system is one of accountability, won't it compel you to be accountable? If you don't speak, so are we saying that everybody in Nigeria is not accountable? There's a prevalent level of anyhowness that, you know, people don't do things thoroughly. Are we saying that everybody doesn't? Are we saying that everybody that shows up in almost all financial institutions, for example, are we saying that? So how come you have moral values that are not a reflection of these individual values that we have? So I know I can speak to at least the work ethics of those of us that are around in this room, because you're in my circle of influence. I've either had business to do with you before and all of that. But how are you not able to see that in the prevalent society? Because if we say that everybody must show up accountable, then what's happening? How come what we see out there is different from I mean, if we list Okonjo-Iweala is from Nigeria, she's doing remarkable. All the entertainers that, you know, the entertainment world is full of Nigerians right now. I think the vice president of World Bank is Nigerian. There are so many people doing remarkable things about Nigeria, but how come it is the bad ones that are giving us the brand? So I think that at the end of the day, the moral compass of the society is what auto-regulates the individual value system. You have an individual value system, quite all right. If person A has a bad individual value system, person B has a bad individual value system, you join yourself to an organization that has a moral culture of uprightness. Within a very short period of time, you will either align or find your way out. So what we should be saying is that if we systemize and institutionalize good collective value system, if you are not complying, you should be in jail or you should be out of the system. There's some way we should be able to design that system that allows people who are not willing to self-regulate back into a collective and progressive value system to be out of the system. I don't know if I'm communicating. Is it from the people to the society or from the society into the people?
Okay, so you said quite a number of things, and I think everything kind of aligns. From when it was coming, you said
Yeah.
And things like that, right? It's the things you do at home that will reflect in the broader society.
Mm-hmm.
Now, home doesn't have to be your family house. Home is your own area of
influence. Yeah.
right? You mentioned something about this circle, your circle of influence. Your circle knows that you have certain values that you stand for, personal values. If, for instance, you say, I don't wear any other outfit but white. If I'm in your circle, I will not buy you a black outfit because you have made it clear to me that I don't do any other thing. You can say it's a womini. I don't do any other thing but white. And so if I come to you perpetually with colors, then I'm not supposed to be in your circle.
I'm not aligned. I'm not
aligned with
I'm
you.
not clicking the follow button.
Yes, I'm not aligned with you. And so what do? You reevaluate your relationship with me. It may not be verbal. You may not tell me, guy, you are not in my circle anymore. But when you unfollow somebody, it's not immediately they know.
Yeah.
Right? So that is to speak to the individual value system.
Yeah.
He mentioned write the vision, and you brought it from the perspective of leadership or from the citizens. The vision is broad, but the vision is a guide, a moral compass. It says so that all who read it can run with it. All.
So that
meaning the initiative needs to be taken by someone in a system who can influence the rest to follow, right? So I have a grouse. I don't like the way things are running in my community, but I've complained to the people who are in power to say I've brought proposals, I've brought recommendations, I've gathered the young people to try and teach them this can be done, right? But what I lack is influence, because I have good intentions. I've written it down somewhere. I've talked to some people who agree with me in a way. It's just that the clout is not yet enough, because there's a councillor, like you mentioned. There's a local government chairman who has not bought into that particular vision. In fact, they're looking for ways to kick me out because their own vision or intent is way different. They want to gather money for next
election cycle.
Right? So all these change. If you cure someone, how do you make money from treating them? Right? So it's this same
vicious cycle.
It's this same cycle, and it has affected Nigerian individuals. So everybody's thinking about themselves. How can I make my life better? When you ask for the Nigerian dream, he will tell you one, he will tell you another thing. But you will find that their dream is centered around what they want from Nigeria.
Not what they want for Nigeria.
Not what they want for Nigeria.
I think that's so how do we design a compelling narrative? You know, when they say America is a land of opportunities, how did it come to that charter? You know, that charter was the guiding document that began to influence how they did things. Are we supposed to come with a national charter that we will now galvanize some level of followership for? Who does the work?
I'd say it's still a collective effort. It's all of us. We have to be involved.
Hence why we started the collective effort.
The question now is, those of us who are really passionate about it, are we willing to put in the effort? Because there's also the subconsciousness that these people don't even care about you, right? And it's a case of, do you want to put in the effort? Is the effort going to translate to results? I think that is where, so instead of having to just go fight about these things, having to make sure that the leaders are accountable, I'd rather just make sure I make my money, build a successful business, and have a good life for my family.
However, if you do that, you will keep getting defined by the frame of reference of the collective that you belong to. You are first a human being. Yeah? if we're going to define you in the universe of mammals, we would define you based on the frame of reference of a human being. You are a Nigerian. If we're going to define you in the frame of reference of nations, you are a Nigerian, regardless of how successful you are. And this self-seeking, self-interest ideology, on the long run, does not favor anybody, because if you have the opportunity to create a world for yourself, you cannot leave it alone by yourself. If we get, I'm not going to use the example that is coming to my mind, but whatever touches A will touch B. So how do we push a national discourse bottom up? One of the reasons the collective effort started was everybody was too concerned about top to bottom approach. How do we start? I think the tediousness of going from bottom, galvanizing resources in trickles, is one of the reasons why we have godfatherism and corruption for elections, because that money is going to come from somewhere. And I is one of the things I said when I was telling a friend. The person was like, I think we displayed our account number for people to contribute, support the vision, the collective effort. We have a lot of projects. We're like, we should apply to grants instead of asking people to donate. And I said, yes, I know there are people that give grants for this, but what we're going after is we want to be able to break the hold of your funding coming from one place. Because just the same way a country woke up one day and said, 90% of AIDS, no more. Once somebody can control that, and I think that's the question that I'm trying to ask. How do we work this ideology in such a way that we don't tire out? We can push it to the point where, since your counselor is not listening, can you design a system by yourself and gather a few other people who are like minds and start it, and then go at it? And
it's easier on paper. It's easier to say. I mean, several people have come up with, this is restructuring Nigeria.
Yeah.
This is re-engineering Nigeria.
I'm sure you will know about that.
Quite a lot of people have
yeah.
And they have good intentions.
I think we worked on one together.
a lot of them are from a good place.
Yeah.
They have metrics to back up what they're saying. Mm-hmm. They have tried it on smaller scale and believe that it would scale up if they applied these principles. However, they did not have the influence to push this thing.
How do you get the influence?
You either build it, which takes a long time. Ask Martin Luther King. It takes a long time.
So before you go into the next conversation where you were going, are we in a hurry?
Nigeria?
No. Maybe that is where because when I started, I said, I think critically there is a false sense of hope. Even though I'm a merchant of hope, part of the responsibility is to tell you that, see, this thing is going to take 30 years. And I think China has done it in 30 years.
Yeah, bro, but it depends on who's telling me it's going to take 30 years. I won't just believe anybody who says, be patient. Nigeria will get there. It will take 30-something years. Right?
Because you can be saying that and then you're leaking it.
You are leaking. And you are leaving that place in the next 4 years.
Yeah.
So you want to get as much as you can and leave the liability for the next person coming. There's hardly a succession plan.
So is democracy our problem? No, but finish your plan.
But that conversation, let's not go into that WhatsApp group. Is democracy our problem?
But this is not going to be political in any way. Very social interactions. We don't want to go politics.
He said something that leaders are. What I picked from is leaders are a reflection of the people.
The people,
that they serve.
Yeah.
Right. you know that this person stands for values other than what you stand for. Right? This person, you know, say you won't go chop money. But he has promised you something, take care of your family, do all of this. Oh, you even get seats in one place. And you lose every sense of your own values and say, this is the person I stand behind.
Yeah.
What that does, which brings me to the followership part of things, is that a lot of the leaders we have are powered by the followers they're able to get. Not so that's whole, whether it's from leader or it's from people, bro. There's no leader without the power of followers.
Of the people, yeah. It's a game of numbers.
It's a game of numbers.
Yeah.
And if they're able to get it right from that granular standpoint, everybody, that's Yoruba will say, each person clean the front of your house, the entire street will be clean. Why? But we just need that one person, two people, that one system, that collective in place to say these are the ground rules. And then these are the people who have aligned with the ground rules, citizens. Anybody who flouts these ground rules, these are the punishments, or these are the effects of misalignment, and then enforce it. You see that Nigeria doesn't have rules? We get it, joke. But who is enforcing?
Is this supposed to come from a place of enforcement, or is this supposed to come from a place of endorsement? You know, and this is my thinking, God couldn't take a generation into the promised land because they were used to a particular way of doing things. Yes, the way I interpreted the journey of the Israelites was that they were coming from a hand-me-down generation. Yes, into where God wanted them to do work. If you look at everything that surrounded going into the land, first of all, it was breaking them up. It was breaking them up. Dan, this is your Levi, this is Jacob, this is you. And those places were far from each other. They were coming from a hand-me-down space to a place where you have to do milk and honey. Milk and honey comes from work. It comes from bees and cows. Bee will sting you. Cow, you will milk it and you will preserve it, or else to pasteurize. Even, recently I was studying that thing again. And then I looked at it again. I said, God, did you set these guys up? And I'm serious. God, did you set these guys up? How do you come from a place where you didn't change your raiment for 40 years? And you didn't change your shoes for 40 years into a place where you had to fight? They were coming from manna. They didn't have to work for food. You go there in the morning, you take the food you eat it, and you go. I think I'm going into about 2 or 3 weeks into my lectures. Like, I kind of have a curriculum, because where we're dovetailing into is that there's a mindset. If you cannot, and God couldn't break that mindset. They went into a land and all they saw was giants. They couldn't see the fruit because they've been conditioned. And that's where my question goes back to you. Is it an enforcement thing, or is it an endorsement thing? Should we just give up on this generation as we know it, and we should just go into schools, go to the 4-year-olds, the 3-year-olds, and and just start doing massive work at that level?
Before you get there, brother. Before grassroots.
No, but that's what we're saying. If it is the overarching ideology that we are now going with as a collective, that the vision is to fix this generation. Because now, if you are saying fix this generation, me, I'm working with 30-year-olds, somebody else is working with 70-year-olds. Do you understand? There's a disparity. Are we saying that this generation is done? Is it enforcement? Are we done? Is it that we can't change? Is it that we cannot? Because
I think you wanted to say something from the point of the mindset.
Please.
So, I'd say it's a culture thing, right? And is it possible? Yes. Is it going to take a while? Yes. And can we do it 100%? Are we willing to put in the effort? That's the question.
Are we willing to put in the effort to reprogram ourselves?
Exactly. Because it's at the end of the day, I actually believe poverty is a mentality thing.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right. So if we are editing these guys, it's still a mentality thing, because you should ask yourself, what do you really want from these guys? These people have a track record. Can we even do a reference check to see if they are willing to deliver what they said they're going to deliver? And if they don't, how do we hold them accountable for it? But it's a case of it's the masses and the democracy that we say, just carries the vote, right? But the people who are getting into power, the ones that are suffering.
They are not the majority. I think that 2 or 3 weeks ago, I thought about the power of minorities. A minority report is a minority concept. The 12 was not a reflection of what the society would. God worked with 12, then he did 70. Then inside that 12, there was 3. When you,
So it started at 120, 70 to 12. Right, and then from 12, yes, I think the minority part. But the minority is for the close quarters.
in the last general elections, was 25 million people that voted. We are 200 million. It's still the minority. They're still in the minority. So how do we create a minority that creates change? That narrative of this collective, how do we bring it home? Because I want us to really stay on social issues, and I think we'll wrap up soon. We'll wrap up this session not because we are wrapping up the conversation. This is a transgenerational work, whichever way you want to look at it. When Lee Kuan Yew was trying to rebuild, South Korea, or when, Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum was casting the vision for Dubai, for UAE, they must have been, and these are case studies. We have to go back into, there was something someone said, I think it was you that elaborated on that scripture, that write the vision down, that make it plain, that all that read. So first of all, before you can run with it, you have to read it. So how do you, that's that, it has to be, so it has to be written. Is the leader that writes, right? Or somebody has to take the initiative to write. Then somebody has to take the initiative to make it plain. So at a national level, I think we need to teach nation building.
So I also think that
don't forget your train of thought.
I think that is also where the problem is. We think it's one person's ideology, one person's concept. So we lack that sense of ownership. Or can we come together to write it so that I can say, you are part of this. In fact, this was what you contributed to it. This was what you contributed to it, and let all of us go on with it.
Because you're already getting right into the major issues that we have division.
So everybody has their own opinion of how things should work. And if you want to bring everybody to the table to write the one document,
the conversation is started.
That thing is going to go in different ways. Do this. Do it like this. So here's how I see it. And you mentioned this whole thing about
teaching
the one person taking the initiative.
Yeah.
I will refer to the Bible.
Okay.
Again. Nehemiah. Now, I spoke about something being that plenty of people have good intentions, but they don't have the influence. Nehemiah was serving a king. He was like a big boy in the king's palace.
Yeah.
He could easily have stayed there and said, waiting the happen for my side, you don't concern me. People were there in the ruins of Jerusalem, but they didn't see the need to do anything about it. Nehemiah was in a palace outside of Jerusalem. He took the initiative. This place where my father lived, I remember the vines and how it was. I want to go back and rebuild the walls. And he set that vision, he cast it in stone, such that when he took permission from the king, he gave the king, this is what I want to go and
This is what I want to go do.
For my father's yard. My Jerusalem is what I want to go and do. He got there, stood on an exalted place and said, this is my vision. Now that's how I think it should work. The one person who will take the initiative needs to be someone who somehow has become a captain of their field. Right? It may not be through the system. They may have been trained in another system. The Daniels, the Josephs, all of those. They became captains. And then they came back to say, this is how it had worked where we were. And we believe that if we apply it here, it will work. Now, do we get your buy-in? That's when everybody comes to the table. No, if you don't buy it, it's okay. No problem. You buy, sign. You sign. Because why? You have the influence to command 10,000. When they were choosing captains in the Bible, captains of tens, captains of hundreds, captains of thousands, all of you have influence in your own, come, sign here. So that tomorrow, when we turn the document, bros, the signature is here now, you align with this. That way, the one person who took initiative, again, coming from influence, was able to galvanize people who had smaller circles of influence. I'm more influential if I'm able to convince you who has access to 100 million people. If you're 100 million, I don't know 100 million people. But I have the resources, right, to get you on board. It could be mental, it could be financial. To say, bro, do you buy into my vision? The moment you say you buy into it, 100 million people buy into it. Because you are able to convince them. You built that following. You're able to convince them. Baba, I will tell you, say this thing will work. Based on this, I believe it. That's how they've sold everything they've sold to you.
Yeah.
That's how influencers work. So, again, it's not a conversation that would end here. I hope. The brand Nigeria, the Nigerian brand, is a big conversation.
It's a transgenerational conversation, and I think I want to thank everybody for coming in. I'm trying to make sure that we stay within an hour. We're breaking the ground. We are onto something. I want to encourage you out there, come and join us. Joba was speaking, and he was speaking about burden bearers. I have 5 names for them. So they're burden bearers, they're men of influence, they're men of skill, and they're divine connectors. The work starts with the burden bearer. Not everybody feels uncomfortable when they see a clogged gutter. Not everybody feels uncomfortable when they see another person litter, or when they see social disorder. It is only the burden bearers that has that level of unease. So if you have that level of unease on what is happening around you, you're a burden bearer. But you cannot do the work alone. You need men of influence. You don't know those men of influence. Divine connectors take you and open access to you to men of influence. So when men of influence release their resources to you, you go seek skillful men to build the solution. The work starts with burden bearer. I'm a burden bearer. I'm a burden bearer because I find it uneasy when I see the system that are not working. I'm waiting for the divine connector that will open doors to men of influence, because you cannot really get a lot of things done without influence. However, starting from the bottom is bearing that burden and using it wisely to get things done. So I want to call on you. Make it a date with us every Sunday, 4 p.m. As we begin to share knowledge, we will get to points where we would do case studies with other nations, what they did. We would examine policies at levels of social interactions. We've made it clear that we will stay away as much as possible from politics and economic analysis. We will stay within the confines of social transformation that border around respect for the rule of law, respect for one another, respect for the environment, all embodied in love for country and good speech. There is no way we will speak such hateful words about our country and we will make it a great country. There's no way we will be so angry and make a headway. There's no reason why young people should be spilling so much tribalism, bigotry. Where did we get it from? Where's that programming coming from? So I want to call on you, I want to encourage you, join us, come into the room, join virtually. Let's test the knowledge that we have. Let's share new knowledge. Let's design social intervention systems that can replicate and repeat a working system to people so that we become a guiding light to them. Thank you for joining us today. We are hoping that the conversation continues to expand, the reach continues to expand, and we can eventually design a brand Nigeria that we are proud of. Thank you and God bless you. Have a great week ahead. Yes, there's some numbers that are displaying. If you want to follow us, if you want to join, if you want to volunteer, just go on any of the platforms and type the collective effort. We're also taking donations, gifts to push the work. It's willing because we know for a certainty that until we unlock philanthropy and volunteering, we are not going anywhere. We will continue to serve the agenda of the people who are funding our agendas. If this is the person funding you, is his agenda that you will serve. There's nothing. So until we can crowd fund our own agenda, and that's why we are not shy to ask you to give. We're not begging, we know that until we can crowd fund our own agenda, we will continue to leave someone else's agenda. Thank you again for joining today, and God bless you. All right.
Like the frost on